The woman will always get support, even if she's the one who cheated on the guy. Listen up.
Can we talk about the man that was cheated on and left for someone else? He was the victim, yet he sits back and watches the world come to her rescue. Because for some reason, the assumption is that he wasn't giving her what she needed, and that's why she cheated. Forget his own needs, because if a man made an excuse for cheating, the world would attack him. So that man is frustrated because he's the good guy, and why is everyone giving her the support, the time, the effort? Why is she being invited to the events of mutual friends? Why is she getting all the likes on her posts from his family? And if they share children, why is it assumed that she's the only one taking care of them? While he hasn't gotten a single text or phone call checking in on how he is doing. And it's not that nobody cares about him, because many do, but it is assumed that men either can or should handle hardships on their own. But what makes it harder, so much harder, is seeing all the support given to his cheating ex. So if you know this man, check in on him. You might be the only one that does.
As long as the woman presents herself as the victim, the world will take care of her and tell her to cheer up because there are better men out there. However, when the man genuinely suffers, no one cares. Let's check some comments. Know him? I am him. My ex cheated on me throughout the marriage, stole $35K from elderly family members, had to plead guilty of the felony thefts to avoid 10 years in prison, weaponizes my autistic son against me, and she gets all the support from everyone. It's asinine. We only get respect when we're dead. I am this man, and I have the 3 kids she left behind as well. I don't get checked up on. I don't have time for anything, at all. Lucky I can pick up the phone and look at this. Women are empowered, strong, and independent, right until the man says the truth.
I'm gonna give you ladies the best advice you've ever gotten in your life. So listen up. You can take it or not. When you deal with a man, he puts you in one of 2 categories. The sex-only category or the potential wife category. Okay? If you have certain habits or certain experiences that you guys claim you think is valuable, he's going to put you in the sex-only category and never tell you that. He just will hang out with you at 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe take you out here or there, maybe a day here or there, but he's never gonna commit to you. Because men, just like you put guys in the friend zone, we put you on the sex only zone. We have girls that we're gonna commit to and girls we're not gonna commit to. The more experience you have, the less likely a man's gonna commit to you because men want to be the first one for a girl. Men value purity. Women sell purity, men sell success.
If a chick has bedroom experience, she'll hardly be a good wife, and if a girl has no sexual experience whatsoever, but has culinary skills, wants to take care of you and all that good stuff, she could become the mother of your children. Nothing personal, just standards. As a man, I never even realized I was doing this until I heard him say it. Apparently it's done subconsciously. I bet more than half of them didn't want to hear it, and they'll just forget about it. They weren't listening, but it will be ringing in their ears every time they're feeding their cats in 10 years.
Do you want to know one of the saddest realizations I recently had? Was that as a liberal woman, it is really hard to find a man who is willing to play the more traditional masculine role in the relationship in today's day and age, who is not a conservative. A man who wants to pay on the first date, who wants to open your door, who has that want and desire to take care of you and to provide, who is not a conservative. And obviously as a liberal woman, I do want to be respected for my independence, and I do want to have my own autonomy in the relationship and not be confined or conform to the traditional female homemaker childbearing role. And most of the men that I've dated who do have that more natural provider masculinity about them are normally conservative. So I don't really know what to do because I don't want to compromise my morals and values just to find a man. But am I asking to have my cake and eat it too?
Yes, you are. Holy moly. Some women out there are not able to make a goddamn concession, but men are supposed to? Hell no. The liberal and masculine men she desires are nothing but a unicorn. No serious man wants to wear makeup, dress like a chick, and instill bad moral values into their kids. The traditional guy she wants will be a conservative who wants a woman who has not been ran through by the entire block, who dresses modestly and is cooperative. Period.
It is really hard to find a man who is willing to play the more traditional masculine role in the relationship in today's day and age.
Okay, there's a lot to quote-unquote unpack here.
So you want the guy to be the protector, the provider, pays the bills, take care of everything, do all the traditional male stuff that men have done throughout the entire history of man. That's what you want, but at the same time, you want to be Mrs. Independent and do your own thing. So basically, you want to be a modern woman, while the guy has to be 100% completely traditional. This is kind of the conundrum a lot of women find themselves in nowadays. They don't want to do anything that is traditional themselves, but the guy has to be very traditional, or at least traditional in ways that they want meaning. He can't tell her what to do, like go out to the club with her single girlfriends or her girls' only trips. He can't stop her from being a complete 304 and posting provocative stuff online or dressing that way. But he's got to provide for her and take care of everything. He's got to go out there, break his back, work and bring all the money home for her. He needs to play Dr. Phil and be an emotional tampon, give her all the validation she requires, and he will hardly get any sex in return. And since she wants her own independence, it means whatever money she bring in gets to be her money and hers only. So it's like, what does she do? What does she bring to the table that a traditional man will want? You don't want to cook, you don't want to clean, you don't want to have any kids, you don't want to be traditional, you want to be non-monogamous, you want to do all this stuff. These women are completely out of touch with reality. Splitting the bill should be a thing, right? You got your own money, right? Why must a guy take care of you? They just want to have the cake and also eat it. Let's check some comments. She wants a man to uphold his traditional gender roles while she doesn't have to. The insanity can't be overstated. Yes, she's literally asking for her cake and wants to eat it too. If you want a traditional man, be a traditional woman. No ma'am, you do not deserve a conservative man. Get another cat, stay single. Get used to buying wine and cucumbers. You know, when you hear as a liberal woman, you're about to hear some of the dumbest shit known to man. I'm looking for a bird that can fly but doesn't have wings. Speaking of relationships, they're pretty much like an investment, so if you're dumb, you might lose a lot of money. That's why women must fight for a man's attention and affection, because if they get it for free, they'll just use them for free meals. Listen up.
Yeah, I mean, just so for my personal thing, look, I know it actually does lose me women that I'm not willing to pay for first dates, but at the end of the day, I don't want to feel like a sucker. I've been there before. I don't want to do it.
Is this like something you're dealing with personally?
What do you mean?
Like, is this a problem?
This is something that pretty much all men are dealing with.
Yeah, this might sound completely strange for women, especially ones that make a living off men sending them money. Most women just see men as walking ATMs, and a large number of women that do go on dates use men for a free meal. Brian and many others have been burnt. We don't care anymore. As a man, the natural instinct is to pay for the woman on a date, and the majority of men would be happy to pay, but it's hard to tell women apart. You don't know which one is the bad apple. Splitting the bill or making her pay on the first day would be a good sign the woman is genuine, and then perhaps you can pay for future dates.
Let me ask you, how do you get out of this? Where do you go from this? You don't want to feel like a sucker. I don't know if this happened in the past. What now? How do I get you married?
Well, so okay, we'll get to the marriage thing in a little bit because I know you wanted to talk about marriage. So I'm not necessarily opposed to falling into more of a like taking care of a girl. I certainly have the finances to do it down the road. Okay. But up front, no. You need to I need to get to know you before I'm prepared to do that.
Okay, but what is that? So you need to get to know her in a way where you're not spending money on her, because if you are, then you might get bit in the ass, or what?
It's really just a matter of principle to me. It's
I know,
not
but
about
I know,
the loss of money.
I know, and I actually get the principle. I respect that, but how do you, as a man, because you're a single guy in this crazy market right now, how do you move on? How do you navigate this? Do you go to the park and you hang out at the park?
Oh, like how do I do dates?
How do you do dates and invest and also invest no money because you're scared that she might?
Sure. Okay. Oh, I'll put you on some game. What did you have to say?
So if you want so badly to be fair and not pay the girl's meal, doesn't that kind of make the girl have less respect for herself and less self-esteem to be willing to go half and half on a first date? So like, does that mean you're setting yourself up to be with less lower value girls because you refuse to appreciate their value from the beginning?
What do you mean appreciate their value?
Like pay for the dinner.
Why is that appreciating someone's value?
It's like saying, I showed up, now I gotta get paid. No, that's not the way this works. Better work for it, or else go beg for money to the simps.
from a traditional standpoint. The man
From a
pays for
traditional
dinner.
standpoint,
Yeah.
but like women are not really traditional anymore. I mean, you mentioned men should be gentlemen. Where are the ladies?
We're right here.
But you just said you're an escort. I mean, like, you're not a lady.
Excuse me?
Emotional damage.
Watching her reaction as she got humbled was priceless.
But you just said you're an escort. I mean, like, you're not a lady.
Excuse me?
You're a female, but you're not a lady.
These women are out here walking around like they are gifts on this earth from God. A good feminine and modest girl could argue the fact she is a prize, because women are born with their intrinsic value. Their beauty is their value, but when they decide to throw that away and do OnlyFans and sell their dignity, they have turned themselves into low-value women. It's like the saying, "You're nothing special if everyone has access to you."
What makes me not a lady?
Maybe because you enjoy Five Guys. And I'm not talking about the restaurant.
What makes me not a lady?
Well, I suppose I'm not a gentleman.
Because I got in a shitty situation at 18 and did what I had to do to survive and pay my bills.
That doesn't undo the fact.
Yeah, likely story. When a woman goes through an uncomfortable situation and decides to sell her body, it's all good. Why couldn't she learn a skill like plumbing or go to trade school to make good money? No. Money rules, and these women know it for a fact.
That, look, you
that
are
doesn't
not
make
a
me
lady.
not a lady. I'm a survivor. I'm someone that's really strong. Like, I don't understand how I wouldn't be a lady.
Sure, you can be strong, but when I say lady, I'm sort of talking about traditional gender roles. So a gentleman versus a lady.
Yeah.
But traditionally, like,
A gentleman is someone who pays for your date, who protects you, who provides, who's a gentleman.
Do you think we don't deserve that
That's
because
just a
we're sex
man.
workers?
Hmm?
Do you think we don't deserve that because we're sex workers?
It's not a question of deserving and not deserving, but what I'm trying to point out is that as sex workers, you are not traditional women.
What I feel
If
like
you
you're
find that
saying-
offensive that I don't consider you traditional women, I'm sure you can admit yourself
well, you
you're
don't
not a
even consider
traditional
me
woman.
a lady. I just figure you think that I should go like be on the street corner or
That's not
something.
well. That's not what I said. But you're not.
What do we mean by lady? What's a lady?
Yeah.
Well,
What is a lady?
A lady would be the counterpoint of a gentleman.
Okay.
So basically, just adhering to
Traditionality.
decorum, and traditional gender roles.
Okay. So then,
So by virtue of being a sex worker, and this isn't me trying to attack sex workers, but you are not traditional. Ergo, you are not a lady.
Well, you're not a gentleman. You do a podcast.
That's
That's
fine.
not traditional.
Well, I don't think my specific.
let me ask you this: what job ought a traditional man have, if not podcasting?
A business.
This
a
is-
businessman.
He's running a business.
This is a business.
He could provide for a woman and 5
CEO.
kids. He's a
See,
CEO of
Well, so
of
could I.
whatever
I could
Inc.
provide for kids too. And a man.
But the metric. I mean, the
Yeah, this is what having a conversation with modern women will do to you. It just drains the energy right out of you.
the profession of selling yourself.
either way, a man's paying. What's the difference then if a man pays for an escort or pays for dinner?
Well, if a man is sleeping with
Traditionally.
escorts, he's not a gentleman.
Yeah, they end up paying somehow.
I disagree.
I think a man paying for dinner is looking for something more out of a woman other than just her sweet.
Well,
I disagree.
As you said.
I disagree.
Actually, I disagree.
I disagree
Most
because
men are
here's why.
looking just
Because
for
here's why.
pussy.
Because a guy who is going to pay for a first date, he's trying to do everything to stack the cards in his favor in order for it to get to
It's
the finish
competitive.
line.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's
Well, you-
being competitive, so he's.
But what's that finish line? Is it necessarily just having sex? I think genuinely most men want to get married, want to have kids, want to have a family.
I agree.
I think that's what most men want, and you're right. It's very hard right now to do that.
Spot on. The reality, though, is that there are tons of women out there, but no wives.
Incredibly challenging.
Yeah, but I don't think that if you don't want to pay for the first date as a guy, that necessarily means you just want the pussy.
But it gives the impression to the girl that you don't
wanna be
like her.
serious.
Like, you don't like her.
Wait, do you not talk to girls before you take them on a date?
Oh, right. This comes back to your question, like, okay, how does this actually
What's the
play out?
game? Yeah.
How does it look?
What's the strat?
Okay, so, well, first off, no dinner dates.
Okay.
Never dinner dates. So it's either meet for like a tea or a coffee or something. Or you meet for a drink.
If you consider dating again, Brian's advice is excellent. A coffee or a drink date is far less expensive than a dinner meal or, in the eyes of women, a foodie date. She'd better work to deserve your attention and resources. Let's check some comments. I'm a survivor. If there are any young women watching this, I hope you read this comment and understand that selling your body to perverted men or women is not a dignified means of survival. There is nothing empowering about a mentality that is so defeated that it would literally entertain the idea that giving up your own ethics and self-respect is ever an option for survival. Empowerment is in knowing you are more than that and you're smart enough and determined enough to find a better way out of such desperate situations. Never think for a second under any circumstances that your survival relies on the depraved notions of people who want to exploit you. Rise above. These women are crazy. She's a survivor of what? I didn't see her sign up for the military. What war-torn country is she from? Or is she claiming to have survived her terrible decisions? She is nowhere close to being a lady. A lady has humility, charm, elegance. She is cultured and demure. She never uses foul language. She isn't confrontational. She is modest in her mannerisms and dress. She's well-read. She's never vulgar or churlish. Lastly, she isn't a sex worker. Brian, you could have just said, yes, you are not a lady. I don't consider you a lady. Yes, you can be as offended as you want. You are a sex worker, so your opinion is basically worthless on your market value. Would have been peak entertainment for the next 3 minutes, and then we wouldn't have to hear her again for the rest of the show. She's just a liar. I did what I had to do to survive. No, a job at Starbucks is doing what you have to do to survive. Being an escort is throwing away anything having to do with traditional values. Guys, thanks for checking out this video. Stay tuned for more daily content. Like, subscribe, and comment. See you in the next video, guys. Till next time.